care because a white supremacist dictator known as President Donald Trump thought he could silence us. They thought they could stop a movement. You can rig a map, but you can't rig a movement.
They're afraid of us coming together. They're afraid of us protecting one another.
We have seen this before, where some people in black robes try to deny or take away our rights.
First things first, I want to start with this. I'm so disappointed in myself for ever falling for this performative BS. These people are literally marching in the heart of where my ancestors really put that pain in, disguising it as Black Americans losing our voting power, all in the name of certain individuals keeping their job for a party that does nothing for the people who actually fought and bled on that soil. I can't believe they got AOC out here sounding like a Southern Baptist preacher, and we're falling for it.
It is time for the North to pull up to the South. It is time for New York to pull up to Alabama. It is time for all of us to come to Georgia, to Louisiana, to Tennessee, to Mississippi, and let them know exactly what they have uncorked with this injustice. They think they can draw us out of power. They do not know the sleeping giant that they just awakened. Because it is not a coincidence, and our whole country must understand that it was not until voting rights were ratified in this country that we got the Great Society. Because when Black Americans have the right to vote and that vote is protected, our schools get funded. When voting rights are protected, healthcare gets expanded. When voting rights are protected, our country moves forward. In Montgomery, that's what they're actually afraid of. They're afraid of us coming together. They're afraid of us protecting one another. Alabama is the crucible. Georgia is the crucible. Tennessee, Louisiana, Mississippi is the crucible. So if you are not from here, it is time to pull up. Because what they thought was the final blow is actually just the opening silo.
Here's the question I have. Isn't she Puerto Rican? Well, why is she always pandering to my community instead of inciting her own? To me, that screams that this is nothing but a part of the Democratic playbook. And that's why I find it personally disrespectful that they constantly use my ethnic group's historical struggles while they give legislation, set-asides, and policies to everybody else except foundational Black Americans. You guys' strategy is see-through, and I'm glad I'm not the only one.
The audacity and the nerve of the damn DNC, the Democratic Party, to try to use our FBA pain and trauma like civil rights and Selma and try to attach them to everyone under the sun, but the people who really, endured that trauma and pain and, came out of that, with their head held up high and their chest poked out, which is solely and only foundational Black Americans. See, I liken us foundational Black Americans being in a relationship with the DNC, the Democratic Party, like being in a relationship with a bad partner who only takes, and never gives a damn thing in return. This is why I actively encourage foundational Black Americans to drop the Democratic Party quick, fast, and in a hurry, and drop them, like a bad habit, because they like to take our pain and trauma that we only suffered and endured over here on American soil, like fighting for civil rights and just to have, basic necessities like fair and equal treatment, and attach them to every other group of people under the sun, immigrants, this group, that group, but the people who really suffered and endured that nonsense. And I'm gonna keep reiterating to, the DNC, the Democratic Party, you want the foundational Black American vote? What are you willing to do solely and specifically lineage-based for foundational Black American people? We need a foundational Black American hate crime bill quick, fast, and in a hurry. We also need those tangibles ran quick, fast, and in a hurry in the form of cash reparations. So, if you ain't producing nothing lineage-based, I'm in favor of voting for the damn couch. You scratch our back, we'll scratch yours. Nobody does nothing for free. And we by far looked out for other people in this country to our own detriment. And, you know, we got to get what's rightfully owed to us. You know what I mean? And we need those hate crimes protections solely and specifically for foundational Black American people. You know, stop trying to use symbolism, symbolic nothings, and, you know, address the real people that really have a grievance, you know, with the United States government. And that's only foundational Black Americans. Just my thoughts on the matter. Peace.
Here's the thing about this whole situation. No Black Americans' voting rights have been taken away. Who the hell do you know that doesn't have an ID? These politicians are marching for themselves, not for the love of foundational Black Americans. And if we are still marching in 2026 for what we marched for in 1965, is that actually a knock on the Republicans or an indictment on the Democrats? I'm out.
Well. Seems Democrats have done it again. I got a question. How many more times are we going to continue to go down to Selma, Alabama in March? Like, I get going down there to do the commemoration of Selma, but Democrats went down to Selma this weekend and marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge because they want specific congressional districts drawn so they can win elections. Not that they are fighting for voting rights as they keep putting it out here. Because if you thought of vote totals in Georgia, they love seeing the turnout. But how we have a high turnout if people are being disenfranchised to vote? It doesn't really make sense. So the real optic is not the fact that we as Black people are getting our voting rights taken away from us. No, that's not what it is. It's Democrats feeling like they're entitled to Black votes. And because the maps are being drawn, that is basically taking away their ability to get the Black vote enough so they can win an election. That's what they're crying about. They don't want to compete for the vote. They don't want to have to come out here and promise anything to you to get you to vote for them because they've never had to. They have banked on LBJ Civil Rights Act signing as being their Trojan horse for the last 60 years. So now that they have to actually tell you, you know, and compete and tell you exactly what they're going to do for your vote, they are running scared, and now they're playing on your emotional intelligence by going down to Selma to commemorate what our ancestors did down there back in the 60s. And at some point, we got to look at ourselves and say, okay, enough is enough. Come with an agenda that's going to make us turn out, and we will turn out to vote. But what you're seeing right now is a lot of voter apathy. And that has a lot to do with the fact that Democrats have gaslit Black folks for the last 60 years.